One of the few fears I have, and sometimes it can be overwhelming, is that something would happen to my children.
My greatest fear is I'm terrified of heights.
I'm afraid of looking out my window at night.
My biggest fear is that I don't tell my wife all I should tell her.
My biggest fear is cancer.
I've thought about this a little bit, and I would have to say that my biggest fear is tornadoes. And movies like The Wizard of Oz, things like that, I'm terrified of those movies. And every time there's a tornado warning or a watch or anything, I'm a totally different person. And I'm getting a little worked up just talking about them right now. So I would have to say that's my biggest fear.
My fear is the fear of snakes and being up high.
Actually, I'm scared of picking up a snake, and I'm scared of seeing a snake.
Well, I have several fears, but one of my strongest fears is that for my grandchildren and the choices and the decisions that they're going to be faced with in their lifetime. This world that we live in today is not what we used to live in. It has become a world of violence and anger and actually fear.
One of my fears is not so much about dying as to get old and not be able to take care of myself and have to live a life where I'm not able to do what I want to do and be a burden on my children and not be able to be self-sufficient.
I'd say my biggest fear is disappointing my family in a way that just would be ashamed of me or something. I think that's been my biggest fear.
I suppose my greatest fear is that I won't stay faithful to God. In fact, that's the only thing that really terrifies me. The other things I know that I can get through, but that's the thing that really stops me in my tracks.
My fear is hitting the ball out of bounds on number 3 out in the field.
One of my fears is snakes.
One of my greatest fears is that my friends and family would die lost and I wasn't able to do enough to help them.
My greatest fear is flying.
One of my fears is spiders.
My biggest fear is a 3-foot putt.
My greatest fear is for this country and the godless direction we are going.
Probably my greatest fear, and I know when you have faith in God you're not supposed to do this, but is the fear of the unknown. It's kind of like the mouse in the corner that you don't know is there, and he just jumps out and gets you, and there's nothing really to be afraid of, but it still scares you and you're still afraid of it.
Well, my greatest fear is at the end of this life not pleasing God.
My biggest fear, one of them is getting old, and another one is I'm scared of snakes.
One of my biggest fears is something happening to one of my kids.
40 years ago today, I accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. And my greatest fear is the people that I love the most and around the most will never know how great it is to know the Lord.
What's my biggest fear? I don't know. I guess I ain't afraid of nothing.
I'm afraid of spirits.
One of my biggest fears is that harm will come to my child.
My biggest fear is for my grandchildren's future.
My greatest fear is the direction our country's going in today.
I think one of my greatest fears is being separated from family.
One of my fears, my biggest fear, is the fear of the unknown. Like when I die, I know that there's heaven and I'm going to heaven, but I'm scared of the unknown.
I'm afraid of ticks.
My fear is for the well-being of my children.
I'm scared of spiders.
My greatest fear for the future is the indebtedness that our government has put us in. It's going to take years and many years to get us out of this deep hole that we were in.
One of my fears is tarantula.
I'm scared of storms.
One of the many fears that I have for America today is the lack of morality.
The biggest fear that I have is that my son might not profess his belief in God or be saved before he passes away, before he leaves this world.
One of my fears is slimy frogs. One of my fears is a shark.
My fear would be the death of my loved ones and how I will react.
One of my fears is wolves.
My worst fear is probably my wife.
My biggest fear is the future of my grandchildren.
One of my fears are heights.
I have a fear for what the future holds for our grandchildren.
I just realized I have a deep fear of your camera. We all have deep concerns for our family, their health and safety, and I need to be reminded that I need to trust in the Lord, and He's going to take care of things. He's going to take care of them no matter what. But probably my deepest fear is those amongst us that have false conversions, that really think they're all right with the Lord, but they're not. And we need to be doing more, and I know that responsibility starts right here with me.